Hi everyone, this is Rumi. I just wanted to jump on here and share a personal story about something that hit me very hard recently. As some of you might know that I'm a registered nurse and I work in theatre as an anaesthetics and recovery nurse. Recently, I got promoted to a more senior position known as clinical nurse specialist. And only a few days into the role, I came home and I started crying out of nowhere. My head was full of doubts. I was thinking, oh, why did I even apply for this job? People probably think that I'm a joke. Do I even know how to do my job? And I'm not good enough for this. So I came home. I couldn't contain my emotions. I started crying and I'm telling what I was feeling to my partner. I told him that when I was back home in Mongolia, I felt so confident. I thought I could do anything. I thought my English was great and I just didn't care what other people thought of me. But when I came to Australia, I got all these experience and knowledge. My English is so much better. I'm doing great at my work, yet I'm feeling less confident and honestly like a failure. And that's when my partner looked at me and said, have you heard about the Dunning-Kruger effect? I think what you're describing, it's the Dunning-Kruger effect. And I was so fascinated by this and I started researching everything I could about it. So the Dunning-Kruger effect is a cognitive bias where people with little knowledge tend to overestimate their ability, while experts often underestimate theirs. So in short, when you know very little, you're overconfident. So let's take an example of the time that I was back home in Mongolia. I didn't have much knowledge, I didn't have much experience, and I didn't have good English. But with that little knowledge and experience, I was just so overconfident. I thought I knew everything. And when you know a lot, you start doubting yourself because you see the complexity. So now that I've gained more knowledge and experience, I've seen the complexities of nursing. I can see that the more experience that I get, I can see how complex things can be. To make it more clearer, let's just look at a graph. The x-axis, which is left to right, is your actual skill or your competence level, and the y-axis is your confidence. So, peak of overconfidence. At the very start, you've just learned a little and your confidence shoots way up. So for example, when I finished my postgraduate degree in perioperative nursing, I thought, yep, I've got this, I'm skilled, I know everything, I'm ready. But then in reality, I was just scratching the surface. So the next one is the value of despair. So as you learn more, reality kicks in. Your confidence crashes when you see how much you don't know. When I stepped into my clinical nurse specialist role, I realized the complexity of perioperative care. Suddenly, I felt like I knew nothing. I doubted myself constantly, and that would be the valley of despair. The moment that you realize that the knowledge that you have is not enough for the complexity of your specialty or your job or whatever new thing that you're pursuing, that's when you know that you're in the valley of despair. And the next one is the slope of improvement. With effort, practice, and feedback, your confidence grows again, this time on a solid ground. Your perceived ability is beginning to match your actual ability. So, for example, instead of staying stuck in my self-doubt, instead of just questioning how inexperienced I was, I just leaned into learning. I read more, asked questions, and tried my best to fill in my knowledge gaps. And slowly my competence grew, and so did my confidence. The next one is plateau of sustainability. Eventually, skills become second nature. You're competent and steady, but also humble because you know there's always more to learn. Your perceived ability and actual ability are the same. You know where your expertise is, but you also know where you still need help. So the example would be the day that I came home crying because I thought I wasn't good enough. So that time was when I was actually very deep in that slope of despair, but now I'm actually on the slope of improvement. I have already identified my gaps. I've sought learning, asked the questions, and now I'm on the slope of improvement. Eventually, with time, I'll get to that plateau of sustainability and I'll feel more comfortable in my new role as a clinical nurse specialist. So why is it important to know about this effect, and why was it important for me to share about this story? Is because it reminds us that confidence isn't just a straight line. It rises and falls, so it grows more realistic with experience. It's very useful to know that feeling overconfident at the start and feeling so insecure later on is actually normal. It's just a part of the learning journey. So when do you notice this effect in your life? It's whenever you learn anything new. However, you do tend to see this more often in your late teens and early 20s when you're just becoming independent and exploring career paths or education. For example, let's talk about my experience when I was back in med school. When I just got into med school, after learning the anatomy and physiology, I just thought I was the family doctor. And I felt so confident because I know the anatomy and physiology. Now I can just diagnose, but no. And once you find out the complexities of medicine later down in the years, that's when you start doubting yourself. And it's the same thing with when you're just learning how to drive, learning a new language, starting a new job, or even opening a new business. So I've gathered a few tips on how to avoid being stuck in the low parts of the Dunning-Kruger effect. The first one is to stay curious. Instead of thinking you know it all, just start asking, what can I learn more about this? There's always more to learn about something. And the second one is to seek feedback. Be open to constructive feedback, and the feedbacks are actually not an attack. Just think that whenever you receive feedback, it's an opportunity for you to grow. And then the third one is to just remember the stages. Confidence always goes up and down. You won't always feel confident, and it's normal. And then the last one is to have an open mindset. You will have mistakes, you will feel like a failure, you will experience challenges, and your mistakes doesn't define who you are. Making mistakes and failing means that you are growing as a person. You are moving forward, not backwards. So researching and learning more about the effect taught me that confidence always doesn't equal competence. So if you ever feel like you don't know enough, it's actually a good thing. It means you're growing. Becoming skilled at anything, whether it be nursing or something else, it takes humility, time, and a willingness to keep learning. So that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching the video. And if you've experienced this effect at any point in your life, please share your experience down in the comment section. I would really like to read them. And also, if you have any video ideas for me, please let me know down in the comment section as well. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye.